Welcome to TIA Talks. My name is Jason Mizen, your host, and today I've got some amazing guests with me, Muzi Dlala and Evashen. Welcome. It's great to have you with me. It's a privilege and an honor to actually speak to both of you because we've got a contestant from TIA that was kicked out. I like saying kicked out. Eliminated is too formal. That was kicked out of the show, fired, dismissed, whatever you want to call it, by Muzi. So it's a little awkward in this studio at the moment. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Jason.
Muzi, you guys are Sasria, the big shot, the big shots of the show. The sponsors of TIA that brought it to SABC3. So firstly, thank you so much. And I wanted to bring this up because your task was also the big shot of the show. It was quite a stunner of a task. And we got a lot of questions around what happened and what you expected and all sorts of things. So I think we'll dive into that a little bit later. But Evashen, what went down with you? It was a journey. How was it?
No, it was. I mean, the experience has been really amazing for me. I saw it as an opportunity to step up and have more growth in my career. And that's exactly what it was. There were definitely challenging moments for me. But I really enjoyed the experience. Yeah.
Did you learn a lot about yourself in the whole experience? Because you lasted a little longer than the couple of guys that I interviewed before. So you actually spent some time with the contestants. I'm sure you built some relationships. How are the people and what did you learn?
We really got along well. And I think it's since we shot the show and now that it's airing, it's been quite a while and we've really gotten to know each other quite well. The time on the show was also, there was a lot of support from people. So it was a great experience meeting all of these people and learning more about them, what they do. Because we all have quite different skill sets. Who was your biggest fan? Because I remember when I entered, the support from outside is actually crazy. You get the messages from random people that you've met in your career, and they're watching the show, and then they're like, "Dude, you're doing so well. Keep it up. Well done." Or, "Oh man, that was harsh." Who was your biggest fan? I'm not your biggest fan, but I think what I really appreciated was, I did share my struggles with my anxiety. And so there were quite a few people who reached out and they expressed that they were really, they connected with that because they also struggle with anxiety. And some people were saying they felt that it gets held them back in their career. And so it was inspiring to see someone with anxiety pushing themselves. So, I think that was really meaningful for me.
Yeah. And do you think that anxiety has held you back a little bit in your career?
It has. There have definitely been times where I haven't been able to overcome the anxiety, or it's gotten the better of me. But, I keep pushing and there's some days I win and there's some days I don't.
I think something that I picked up, and maybe it's just my personal opinion, but a lot of people struggle with anxiety. I've seen that, I've struggled with it myself, probably not on your level. You remind me of my wife sometimes, when she says she's anxious, and she actually means it. And we sometimes don't take it seriously enough, when someone says they're anxious. But what I picked up is a lot of anxious people are actually, they really care. Not about what people think, but they actually care about people. And I picked up on that with you. It wasn't your mind that impressed me. It was your heart that impressed me on the show. And I want to commend you on that because your anxiety, it wasn't a weakness that came through on the show at all. It was really, you came through confident and you came through kind. And I think that's something that if anyone could come through, whatever perception you want to put out there, kindness is the one that I would love to have. You just came out, you're a cool dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and this is our first conversation. Yeah. So you're welcome. Okay. Muzi.
You're making my life a lot more difficult now. Why did you get rid of him?
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to. You took the words out of my mouth. Why did you get rid of him? What happened? You guys have the conversation. What's happened on the day and with the task and stuff, and then we'll get into the details about the task. But on a personal level, the people, the contestants, Muzi, some of them seem like they don't know what's potting. Others seem like they know everything. Yeah. Others don't want to listen to anything. Some do want to listen to everything and then don't say anything. You know, it's a crazy mix. Muzi, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's a crazy mix. Look, I'm a fan of Evashen, first of all, and for the same reasons that you've mentioned as well. I mean, he brought heart to the show, you know, and I've received, I don't want to say death threats, but questions like, I mean, guys, why Evashen? Because people relate to him at that level. So he brought honesty, and not only kindness, it brought honesty to this thing. And then he made people realize that actually the successful people themselves have their stories. Just I got my own stories as well that I might share today if you've been nice to me about what has happened to me as well, embarrassing moments, and where I found myself exactly in a position where I'm pushing myself beyond what I believe I'm capable of. So going back to Evashen. So in the show, there are various dynamics, you know, of what happens. And in the beginning of every task that we look at, we already know which individuals have what strengths in which areas, and then we group them into those groups. And we make sure that we obviously infuse the dynamic of power struggle as well, to, you know, show-based.
So that's actually, so the planning of the groups is orchestrated.
Properly orchestrated, because we know that, for an example, one individual who's very strong-willed, we group them with somebody else who has been pushed so far that they want to fight back. We know that there's going to be sparks, right?
Yeah.
So we know all of that. So we group them like that.
This will make sense now, man.
Right?
I'm learning things the wrong way here. Goodness gracious.
If you knew that,
were you the same judge that kicked me out?
Oh yeah. I kicked you out. Oh my. I kicked Evashen out and I kicked you out as well.
That's TIA Talks for today. I hope you enjoyed it.
So Evashen happened to have been in the bottom two in 2 consecutive episodes.
Okay.
I think that's the first thing. So we know he's very intelligent. And I'm just not just saying that to him.
Data analyst.
Right?
Hello.
Yeah. So, and he's very good with systems thinking and systems orchestration and putting things together. So we knew that in his team, they have him and he's strong in there. And we thought that he was gonna, you know,
shoot the lights out.
Not just shoot the lights out. We knew that he would probably struggle a little bit with the dynamics of the group, right?
Okay.
And we were hoping that they would make him the lead so that, you know, you can see all the drama and put him obviously in a very difficult position as well, but where he has an opportunity to come up tops.
Wow.
Right? So
you gave him the platform to actually do well.
To either hang himself or really excel.
This is psychological warfare.
It is. So where he could potentially even be the winner.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So that was the dynamic. And then the second part of it is then obviously that we as the judges, we sit there, we don't always see what they're doing. We give them time to go away and then they then do their thing. We're not privy to that. We would go maybe once or twice just to check and maybe steer them into a particular direction. You can relate, you know.
Yeah.
So I did come in to say, guys, you know, you might just want to consider that. Listen to the brief and make sure that everything that I've mentioned there, I've mentioned for a particular purpose.
Guys, any future contestants, I want you to hear this. If you are in the show and you make it to the top 20 or top 10, the judges, the little quirks that they say or the little quips that they give you, it is vital that you listen to them. Always, 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 always. They're not trying to push you in the wrong direction. They are trying to help you. Anyway, continue.
It's as simple as that, right? So once you complicate the task, then you have a problem. So in his case, his team, first of all, let him down. He didn't even get a chance to speak.
Who was in your team?
It was Darius, Mabato, and Anelia. But the thing is, I also I understand why I was sent home. I didn't have any issues with that, and I felt like the Sasria task was the task for me to shine.
So you did think it was your task?
Yeah, I was like, I'm either going to shine or I'm going home. Like I knew at the beginning of that task.
Sure.
Yeah, and then obviously there were 2 teams, obviously, and on the other hand, as you saw in the episode, Kaya was in the bottom there.
Yeah.
So between
he was reading, hey. He was reading. I just wanted to mention that because we always talk to the guys that get evicted and then we make it sounds really bad, you know, but everyone's making mistakes. And there are a few that have made mistakes are still in the show.
Yeah.
You know, so they are still
Kaya's
competing.
one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, he had done well in previous episodes, but in that particular one, he struggled and he froze as well. And then obviously between the 2 of them, what saved him was that he was in the winning team. Yeah. And what obviously bad for him was that he's in the losing team.
Yeah.
And he was the person that needed to shine more I mean, even when it came to things like when they were asking him, I think Simon asked you, what is sentiment analysis? Not that he didn't know. Now, he wants to see whether you guys, first of all of you spoke about it, all of you are on the same page.
Yeah.
It was a trap to see then if you're explaining, if nobody else is going to cut you off or all of that and want to speak and all of that. And all of those dynamics actually panned out, you know, and in fact, if you're looking at the definition of what that is simply, Mabato seems to be the one who kind of explained it better. So you didn't explain what sentiment analysis is.
Yeah.
You explained what it does, which is not really the question. And I understand you can attribute that to nerves and all of those things, you know, so it's small things like that. But that was your task, really.
Yeah, and I felt that as well. So I totally understood why I was sent home.
What's the reason in your head why you were sent home?
I think the judges were expecting me to show up more, and I did struggle with that even in the previous task. And it was a learning opportunity for me, and that's how I saw it. And I really enjoyed the Sasria task. I think that was my favorite task because it's a very data heavy task. It was asking us to think about technology.
It's always the fun task to do. Yeah.
So even though I was sent home on the task, it was still my favorite task.
Yeah, I think I was sent home on the same task, so don't stress.
Was it still your favorite task?
I'm pretty sure because you're my oh yeah, I'm not allowed to say who my favorite judge is. Anyway, Muzi, I wanted to find out just about the rest of the contestants.
Sure.
Do you have an insurance apprentice in mind? No, you don't have to say it. Don't say the name.
Right.
But do you have one in mind that you think is?
I got two people in mind.
Okay.
Right. The one could potentially be an obvious one, but I'm concerned about their leadership style.
Okay.
Right. And then there's another one who I think has what it takes, but the person still needs a little bit more convincing that they actually are. You know. And obviously, if he was still in the running, because I resonated with him much, he would have been one of those people that I would have wanted to be. So I do have two individuals in mind, either one of them, but I think they just need to tweak a little bit because it's the softer issues now. It's no longer the issue of whether the fact that they're in the top 8, it means you are it. You don't need to prove that you're it. You just need to show that you can work with a team. So that's very important. Team dynamics and leadership doesn't mean that you have to be the one always talking. You don't have to be the smartest. If you are the smartest in that room, then it means you're not really the correct leader because you're not bringing in the correct number or right people around you, and you're not letting them bring things forward.
Or bring in the strengths of that. Yeah.
And then lastly, I think quite importantly as well, leading with empathy is that you don't necessarily always have to be heard, but find a ways of resonating with an individual so that they voluntarily want to follow your lead. You don't have to push them to follow you. That's not leadership.
Yeah, there were some interesting leadership styles that we were exposed to.
What was your favorite one? You're allowed to throw them under the bus. Evashen, this is all about you, my friend.
I think, so I led the one task, and then Darius led the second task, and then it was Mabato. Darius's leadership style. It's very his approach is very different to mine. So I think, and we've chatted about it. We've clashed at times, but I respect Darius. I think we just have very different approaches.
He's intense.
Yeah,
he's an intense dude, and I think that does work with a team that needs that.
Yeah,
you know, I think when we get to the apprentice, that the intensity is already given to you. So the less intense you are with the people, it's probably going to help you, you know. But I think it has helped him in a way because he is quite strong in terms of leading and not and getting his point across.
He's decisive.
Decisive. That's the word.
And I think, what I like about him is he's consistent. You know what you're getting.
You're getting it. So he's a good teammate. He's a good teammate. Okay, let's move on to another one. You guys, you and Anele, it's Anele, right?
Yeah.
You guys are quite tight. It looks.
Yeah, we're pretty tight. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, she's very strong too.
I love Anele.
She's got a massive opinion, and
she was one of the people I was hoping would I'm hoping she makes it all the way.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Okay, so I want to actually get into a little bit of the detail around the task itself. But I know, Muzi, I need to wake up for this. It's too early for all this info. So I'm going to have a cup of coffee.
Sure.
And while we let you set up, let's just enjoy it. The insurance industry is changing fast. The way we work, the risks we face, and clients' expectations are evolving every single day. That's where Sapiens comes in. They're building cutting-edge technology that helps insurers stay ahead, streamlining processes, reducing inefficiencies, and making the entire experience smarter. If you're in the industry, this is the tech you need to know about. Learn more at sapiens.com. Okay, Muzi, I'm ready. I'm awake. I'm ready to hear what you have to say about this incredible task that Sasria put together for us. Firstly, Sasria's task was focused at harnessing technology for riot mitigation, if I'm understanding the brief correctly.
Yeah.
Specifically, why did you choose this kind of topic? What was the brief about? And maybe let's go into the brief.
Sure. I think the biggest thing for us is to make sure that we do a lot of education, right, for consumer education. So if you look at this here, is what actually prompted us to do the task. So these are the 9 days of anarchy, as we call them. So the accumulation of losses over the period of 9 days.
9 days?
9 days only.
See
Look
there.
at the spike there at day number 3, right, or day number 4. The spike is what actually killed us. This is just 1 day, 17 billion rands worth of damage in 1 day.
That
So
was
this
with a
tells
B,
a story.
with a B, eh?
Yeah. So this is what tells the story. So if we have this picture, how can we use technology, first of all, to make sure that we respond within the 3 days? Because day number 4 is when Big Bang happens. So 3 days is what we can afford as a Sasria within our risk appetite, right? And then we did a lot of research to find out why did all of this happen. So in the documentary that we did, we found out that even the state admitted to not having enough intelligence. So intelligence became the big buzzword. So how do you harness or draw intelligence? It's through, we came up with the whole thing of sentiment analysis, which is pretty much just the language tool that you use to draw data and then get a sense of how people are feeling, what people are saying, and what people are planning to do. Because
Would that be on like social media and all those things?
various platforms. Right?
Okay.
If you move on to the next slide, you will see that we decided that social media alone is not going to be enough. We needed to base this off a particular, so there's a social science mechanism that looks at, in a catastrophe scenario where you are looking at an entire society, what are the various levels of defense? So these are the 4 levels of defense. So first one, is individuals, people themselves, they have an inclination of wanting to protect their property.
Yeah.
Even your policy wording says that you have to take steps to protect your property. People naturally want to do that.
Note that all listeners that have Sasria cover, just that's not advice. It's just coming from Sasria themselves.
Right? And it doesn't apply to Sasria only. It applies to the insurance industry. Then number 2, which was the biggest learning for us, is that communities have got a much higher weighting than we expected in terms of being able to protect.
Yeah.
Maponya Mall, for example, was protected entirely by community.
Wow.
Taxi industry took to the streets to prevent people from destroying certain, so they're part of community. So we're like, okay, so if we are going to use this as a model before it becomes a framework, how much weighting for mitigation can we put on this? So without going into detail on that, and then the third one is police and then the army. So what is the outcome here? We want response within 3 days, right? That's why we gave them the data so that they can see and decide for themselves at what point do you need to respond, so that the solution talks to response within this.
This task is so easy.
Very easy, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then if you move on to the next one, which is now the question is, so what is the solution, right? We gave them the 4 levels of defense, and we wanted them to determine that sentiment analysis is the tool for drawing data so that you can have intelligence, right? They all did it. And just before I say what the answer is, Evashen's team had the better solution. right? Because of how they actually
Presented it.
not presented it, they failed to present, unfortunately. But because remember, we're the judges, we get the pack, we know what they've put together. On paper, it looked better than Group 1's.
Because I think we identified that you can't just rely on social media
That's
alone,
it.
especially in our country.
Triangulation of data sources, right? They knew that.
Yeah.
And we knew that it must have come probably
Wait,
from
explain
you as
this. I don't know
So,
what that
because
means.
in our country, given that there are a lot of people who don't have smartphones,
Yeah, of course.
and stuff,
Yeah.
you can't rely on data alone. You can't rely on social media alone.
Okay.
So we came up with the idea for us was to use USSD as well for people who don't have social media.
So
they can then
smart.
at least report what they're seeing in their communities.
That's right.
So not just
it's
a good
push
heart.
and a pull mechanism, right? So we knew that we knew that you knew all of these things. In any case, so then obviously if you look there now on the top level, so sentiment analysis, we'll be drawing data from various sources. From obviously internet, which is us pulling, and then we also created an application where people will be pushing the information through, right, to give us information, so that because you use that to triangulate. So triangulation means you're just confirming what these people are saying here, whether it's really correct by looking at various data sources, right? And then we got all other data sources as well with partnerships with Consumer Goods Council, for an example. Remember, they have trucks that are moving around. They know at any given time what's happening. So imagine when you're collecting all of that data, you get the correlation of the sentiment versus what's happening on the ground is close to 90% accurate. So that means you know what's happening, right? So that's
Another
sentiment
nice
analysis.
indicator could probably also be like economic data, because if you see, like fuel prices are increasing or
Right.
unemployment's increasing.
Right. And you could confine it to a geographical areas, and then you can mark them as higher risk and all of that.
So it's like a leading indicator for
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you then can use that matrices now to determine the level of really, that in a certain area, for an example, the individuals that might destroy property would not be residents who live in that area. Could be residents from another. What is the closest area where individual could be migrating from to Sentin? You could argue it could be Alexandra, for an example. But if you know that is happening, then you can mitigate within 3 days. Just lastly on this, we also have, remember, historical protests. So we know the migration patterns of when there's a protest happening.
How people
I'm not
move.
picking on Alexandra, but from Alexandra to Sentin, you know which path it's going to take.
What?
We
I
know
didn't
that,
even think
right?
about that.
Because it's the data we have,
Yeah,
right?
that's cool.
Now, what does that do? It gives you information, enough information. The claims that you've paid in the past, we superimpose that on top of that. It tells us that this is where you have problems, right? And then now, all of a sudden, you have everything in your hand, right? To do this, because now the risk modeling component of it, which is what we wanted them to do, then it predicts the likelihood of future unrest by using this early warning system. It becomes then a system. So the question was, why didn't you use the other levels so that you can show us the holistic view of the picture? That's when systems thinking, which is what is studied. Systems thinking talks about that, right? And then lastly, obviously, then you link it back to the various levels of analysis, right? And the levels of defense there, but this is just a picture of what this thing looks like as a picture, right?
So does this
it looks
exist?
Absolutely, it exists.
So you guys built this and then said, you guys try and build it.
Well, tell us what you could come up with. But we have this as the benchmark, of course, right?
Okay.
Because actually, I can tell you, we take this model and we plug it onto the data that we already have, that data that we gave you guys, and we can mitigate within 3 days. Why? Because if you have the intelligence, right, which is what we want through sentiment analysis and all other
more
platforms,
proactive rather
then
than
it means that you then can inform. You're a policyholder. You live in Sentin. I can tell you today that tomorrow at 9 o'clock, there's going to be a protest that's migrating in your area. Put your shutters around, protect your property. So that in terms of mitigation, it decreases the likelihood of the impact. It's happening. We can't stop it from happening.
Yeah.
People have a right to protest, right? They don't have a right to destroy property, but we can do something about the destruction of property. The next one is community. We can say, taxi industry, if Sentin burns down, you won't have people driving there. Block these other roads, obviously in a controlled way, working with the police. And then now all of a sudden the protests can go outside of where there could be destruction of property. The third one is the police would know. So we have all over the country, we have mapped where the police stations are. So we have a radius around is to say if this number of people of policemen and women that are in the politically correct, of course, within that particular space, they can cover that area. what gaps do they have in terms of crowd management and all of those things? And then if we inform them today that this is happening, they might obviously want to recruit others from other places so that there can be protection of that. And then obviously the third one is the deployment of army. So in talks with government to say, if this is happening, this is the response we need. So now the gap was, there was no intelligence. We created a platform and a system,
to give us
which has become now a framework that mitigates against that. So in a nutshell, for your viewers, that is a solution. We wanted to see what other potential solutions could there, because there's no one thing that fits everything, of course.
Sure. So, Muzi, welcome to TIA. I'm going to judge your presentation. We'll judge his presentation. Muzi, that was excellent. You guys blew me away. you hit the nail on the head. You got the brief. It was perfect. I think that made a lot of sense to me now. I think watching on TV and stuff, it was very basic, the question that came up on TV, and it was it's a risk management platform, kind of thing. This is a lot more like technical and intricate. I mean, I think. Were you guys close?
I mean, I think what the issue is, we considered lots of components, but we didn't manage to bring it all together.
That's it.
And I think the other thing that you have to factor in is 2 hours is not a lot of time.
Yeah, you only get 2 hours.
Yeah, and I think that was a challenging thing. I think what happened was in the task, we were kind of covering the context more than actually covering the solution. And so when we got to actually explaining a bit more about the solution, it came across really disjointed.
Two important things that I'd like to mention is that it took a couple of PhDs to come up with this model in a few months, right?
Oh, now you tell us this.
No. But the point is this, is that I've received, emails and SMSs from people saying, these people are not representing us. And my response to them has been that for these individuals who are not systems architect, first of all, and who are not catastrophe risk modelers, and who are not really even in risk management, to come up with what they came up with in 2 hours, because that's what they have, right? Is very impressive coming from me, part of the team that designed this model. Sure. So it's really impressive what they've done. They did have everything that was good enough to create the model, and they just did not include all the elements which we gave them. So they missed the point. I was saying they missed the brief. That's what I meant. And second is that they had everything. It's just that they did not have enough time. There was nerves and everything to package it in a way. So,
and I think in the presentation as well, we didn't get enough time to actually get into the solution, which involved the early warning systems, where you have the different indicators and you deploy the different the different defense levels.
And your part that you did not get to talk about, the education part of it, is actually one of the most important. It was really sad that,
and I don't think I articulated it well, but it was this feedback loop that we wanted to bring in. You've got the geolocation data, and you can it was meant to be preemptive. You have to have all of these preemptive measures in place.
Yeah, that was the purpose. That was the purpose. But unfortunately, what happened.
I think I was so silent in this whole conversation because it really went over my head. I'm an insurance broker, and yes, risk management is a thing. But all kidding aside, I love the task. I think keeping consumers in mind and society as a whole, and for them to see what goes on behind the scenes, that the state and businesses are partnering up and actually doing something to help us. To really make our lives a little bit better, even when the ish hits the fan. I think that's when we need everyone the most. And I think preempting all of these things is quite cool. And I find I've got a little bit of a peace of mind and just a safety net. There's a bit of a safety net that I feel, or just peace in general, that if it were to happen again, it will probably be a lot worse. But with this model in mind, maybe not. I love that.
Yeah, this is such a cool like solution. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I actually would love to find out, because the judges set these tasks, right? And a lot of them, it's in the real world already, or we help them put it into the real world from the tasks. And I'd love to actually get a couple of the judges on the show and actually discuss what are the real world ideas that have come out of TIA and how we've actually thrown them into the mix.
Like you guys last day, if you remember, we did the first podcast for TIA Talks.
Yeah.
What you guys kind of brought to the table, we took some parts of that and actually making it work in the real world. So
they used my idea and they kicked me out. No problem. I think I'll end on that note, because I mean that was a lot. I think people are going to rewind and watch this again and just kind of understand it a bit. But I'd love to just chat to you again on your journey, and just one last little bit of advice that you would give maybe a new contestant or somebody who's wanting to enter, or somebody who's not even interested in TIA but wants to just progress in their career and has been inspired by someone like you at TIA. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think people who, especially in technical roles, like data specialists or people in the IT space, should also like enter TIA, because you're getting to interact with industry leaders. You're getting to really understand the business challenges that you can have a hand in helping to solve. So I think it gives you a set of experience that you will not get anywhere else. So yeah, I recommend it to everyone, and especially I'm passionate about people who are in like technical roles like myself to enter.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think people need to reach out to you on LinkedIn if they've got you, because I've seen some of your content that you're pushing out just with regards to the tasks and things that have happened throughout the season. So it's been epic, and you've been great, Evashen. You like I said in the beginning, your kindness came through, your heart was there, and I think you're a great competitor, and I think you're an even better person. And you need to walk away here with knowing that whatever weakness you thought that anxiety was giving you and holding you back, I think it's really strengthened you, and I don't see it.
Yeah, I was surprised watching it back because I was very nervous to see the answers.
You're so anxious.
But I was actually surprised, like watching it back. I do feel like I held my own.
You did. You did. And for me, the Insurance Apprentice is just, it's not one individual. It's all the individuals that make up the show, even the behind the scenes, but all the people that enter that actually just want to make a difference or want to progress or whatever. It's good for them, to look at you and get inspired. I think it's awesome. Muzi, do you have any closing thoughts? Because this was a lot, but it was pretty cool. I'm quite excited to just look at these slides a little bit more in detail because I saw there were a couple more slides. But if you could change one thing in this industry or where you're at now for the better to help the industry going forward, what would you try and change, or what would you do? And how can people maybe get involved with you, or maybe not get involved with you, but what would you plan to do in the future, or what are your aspirations for the industry in the future?
Right. I'm going to link it back to the main reason why, first of all, we sponsored this season and why we wanted to bring it on TV. Because the biggest problem that we see in South Africa, which links back to our problem statement as an organization, is that we have a lot of young people that are idle, that don't have much to do, don't have much to lose, don't have access to education to get them into the working stream. Insurance is one of those industries, just like farming, for an example, that can absorb individuals who have not done undergraduate studies, who just have matric and can come into it. So wanted to showcase that, first of all, that this is an area where we could absorb a lot of people. People just need to start knowing about it. And we obviously want to do a lot in getting people just, basic, say NQF5 level occupational certificate or something that would allow them entry into this space. So we want to go on a big drive, and we're going to be partnering with a lot of other entities to try and create opportunities. We are already doing this with IISA, for an example, and FIA has agreed to join hands in helping us. The insurance industry has always been helping us in this, but FIA has also come in. So we want to ensure that ultimately every young individual who's out there can know about the industry, could potentially be absorbed into it as well, which would benefit us
amazing,
ultimately as well, because it generally is normally young people who don't have much to lose who would participate into protests. And generally, most of the time, it's not them who want to do that. There are other primary players who lobby them, because it's a psychology thing as well, where they start getting involved in things that they don't necessarily have any business in doing. So for me, that's my biggest gripe, and that's the one thing that I would like to change for as long as I'm in the industry.
Sure. You want to add something?
Yeah, and I think for me as well, like reducing youth unemployment, that's something that I really want to be able to contribute to. So yeah, that sounds really exciting.
Hey, maybe there's some synergy here, because
We must have coffee.
I think so.
well, we are. Thank you, Sapiens. I think that's amazing. I think inspiring the youth to join the industry and to be a part of the financial services industry as a whole, because we've highlighted on TIA Talks the number of positions and types of jobs that you can get in this industry, and there are so many, so many. I mean, you are a data analyst, and you competed in the Insurance Apprentice. You know, I think that kudos, dude, kudos. And I really, common. And it just shows the diversity in the insurance space. You know, there's a place for everyone, and I love that. I think that's going to be the tagline for the Inspire. You know, there's a place for everyone in insurance.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah. No, we'll make it trend.
TIA Talks. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.